Hello, and welcome to Christ Lutheran Church in Pacific Beach, California. I'm Pastor Keegan. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. We are approaching Advent. We are actually in Advent probably by the time you see this. And today we're going to be exploring our Advent theme for this year, which is, what do you fear? Insisting on hope. And today we're going to do something a little different. Something we might call alternative worship. And we're going to explore a contemplative practice called Visio Divina, which means divine seeing. And it's much like Lectio Divina in that you might look at a text in new ways. And so in that regard, we're going to look at some art and we're going to consider how that art might open us up to hear God in new and profound ways. It is a joy to have you here. Thank you again for coming. And wherever you are on your journey, you're welcome here. As a church, we are utilizing materials from Sanctified Art for our Advent season this year. Sanctified Art is a ministry that helps worshiping communities integrate art and creativity into their spiritual practices. This year's theme is, what do you fear? Insisting on hope. Fear and hope. How can these two emotions live at once? And what do they have to do with Advent? The Sanctified Art team shares with us that Jesus entered into a fearful world, one filled with rampant oppression, economic disparity, uncertainty, and instability, a world not so unlike our own. And yet, throughout the stories of Christ's birth, which are the stories of Advent, we hear the whispers of angels delivering a surprising message. Do not fear. When Mary, Joseph, the shepherds, and the Magi are each called into God's redemptive story, they do not deny their fears. They move through them. They ask questions, hold fast to courage, trust in good news, and say, "Here I am, Lord." According to Sanctified Art, these biblical characters seem to acknowledge their fears while still insisting on hope, trusting that doing so brings greater depth and clarity to their spiritual and emotional lives. It reminds me of Brené Brown, a renowned social theorist, who shares that we cannot selectively numb one emotion and expect to fully feel another. When we numb one feeling, like fear, we also numb other emotions, like joy, happiness, and even hope. But if we can feel the fear and we can know that we can move through that fear, we also find that we can sense the hope in our lives and hold it with an even greater depth. So, what is the invitation to us this Advent in light of this spiritual and emotional paradox of fear and hope? I think Sanctified Art's final question gets at the heart of it. What if naming our fears helps us to see more clearly how God is breaking in and where God is at work? That question stirs a wonder in me. I feel the anticipation of Advent when I hear it, of Jesus coming into the world. What about you? Are you curious about how a different relationship with fear might open up your hope? Here at Christ Lutheran, to explore this paradox, we will be offering in-person alternative worship that centers the practice of Visio Divina, which literally means divine seeing. It is a form of contemplative prayer to help us engage our faith and connection to God in new ways. I'd like to offer a brief practice of it now as part of our online worship. I invite you to center yourself by taking a deep breath and relaxing your body as best you can. Allow your shoulders to lower away from your ears. Let your arms rest in your lap. And let your feet be fully supported by the floor. Feel the weight of your body being held by the chair. The goal of this is to recognize your grounding. Open yourself up to God's voice and hear these words from the Gospel of Luke, the first chapter. In the days of King Herod of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah, who belonged to the priestly order of Abijah. His wife was descended from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. Both of them were righteous before God, living blamelessly according to all the commandments and regulations of the Lord. But they had no children, because Elizabeth was barren, and both were getting on in years. Once, when he was serving as priest before God during his section's turn of duty, he was chosen by lot, according to the custom of the priesthood, to enter the sanctuary of the Lord to offer incense. Now at the time of the incense offering, the whole assembly of the people was praying outside. Then there appeared to him an angel of the Lord, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. And when Zechariah saw him, he was terrified, and fear overwhelmed him. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you will name him John." The Gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to God. On your screen, you'll see an art piece entitled Zechariah and the Angel. Take a deep breath in and out. And continue breathing as deeply as you can as you read this image, as you look at this image. You're really just trying to take it in. In this moment, simply notice the visual qualities of what you see. Colors, line, shape, form, space, and texture. Now, take a deeper look. What parts of the image are your eyes most drawn to? What parts of the image did you quickly brush by or overlook? And now, use your imagination. Look at the figures. What story do you assign to each of them? What emotions would you give to them? And finally, observe your own emotions. How does this image make you feel as you take it in? Hear now the statement from the artist Hannah Garrity about this piece. As you listen, ask yourself what else you see in light of these words. Where is God speaking to you? Within the political landscape of Herod's time, hope was not on the horizon. That's the point. And Elizabeth had been barren for many years. This miracle visited her in her body, in her womb, because it was so unexpected. In this piece, I imagine the angel in a female form arriving close to Zechariah in the darkened temple, surprising him by her presence. His reaction is a fearful one in this image. He leans away, squints his eyes, and covers his head. He protects himself from her presence, from her power, from her words, from her gaze. He hides. The incense swirls around them. In contrast to his fear, her message is one of hope, long yearned for joy. and family security. Here, the angel's message is represented by the doves and the stars. Her message flows into his space with the same power that invoked his fear. I imagine Zechariah lets his guard down then and listens to her in shock. I imagine he takes in her words, lets his arm down, meets her gaze, and holds on to joy, despite his ongoing apprehension. In this image, I placed my paper lace over a cyanotype print, which is created using photosensitive paper, objects, and sunlight. The cyanotype didn't work the first time. I had to paint the light-sensitive solution again and then expose the print for longer in brighter daylight. I really needed plexiglass to hold my branches and leaves tightly to the paper, but I didn't have it. Nonetheless, the final print reflected the flow of energy in this text. The movement in the cyanotype is horizontal, perfect for the lateral conversation between the angel and Zechariah. Pine needles created shapes that appear to reiterate the angel's words as they are leaving her mouth towards Zechariah's ear. These words, "Do not be afraid," this unexpected and miraculous hope, are the focal point in the text and the art. In the cyanotype, there are deep blues with silhouettes of leaves and stems, but nothing so powerful as these words, "Be not afraid." And these pine needles are creating a high contrast focal point. God is breaking in.